what would you call it? Sitting meditation or a breathing meditation? Right. So I wanted to speak today about generosity. And my boss once told me that you're not very good at speaking at meetings, but you are very good at speaking on one. Everybody tells me that you're very happy chatting with people, and except this in this gathering, it just feels like a casual circle of friends. Anyways, it just feels exactly like that. I wanted to talk about a one aspect of generosity of regarding something, and that particular thing is um, options and choices that we can offer people. And it's not like, would you like a 15-day vacation in Hawaii, or would you like the that it doesn't have to be big things, but actually, as I often find in meditation, it is not the good qualities of the mind are not amazing things that you do, but just finding how small-minded we can be, and petty we can be on some things, and not being that, and that's already pretty amazing. It's a wonderful gift to the world. um, and but I wanted to sort of elucidate, just explain what I mean by options. And I wanted to take the example of, I was reading many years ago about the Iran hostage crisis. Some, American diplomats in the, there was a little revolution, and people just surrounded the embassy, and people couldn't leave there, and they were there for 444 days. A few people were trapped there in Tehran at the embassy. So, they had a bathroom, they got food, all of that stuff. And at the end of that time, they were allowed to go after, you know, after it had been abundantly proven that America's power doesn't extend to everything. Like, you can't extract their freedom or whatever. Some compromise was reached. Now, there was, and the people who wrote about this, who were in that experience, talked about how people were, oh, we didn't do anything to them. Look, we treated them well. We did this and that. They were fine here, so on. But actually, they lived in terror the whole time. They didn't carry any bodily injuries or marks of anything. Why is that? It's that while they did not harm them, they could have harmed them at any point. They felt like they could have been killed at any point just to make some point about something. And in fact, so that option that we have to run away from, to leave a dangerous situation or unhappy situation, if that's taken away, it's not nothing that was taken away. It's something very important that was taken away. And one of the people who, sort of this sort of informal diplomacy that happened at that time, some bishop had visited, and he was talking to these people who were being held captive, and he said something like, oh, I would like to have all this, to be in some situation like this. That would be great. I would like to work on my book or something like that. And they were like, this guy doesn't get it. As anyone who's had to spend a large amount of time not being, not having the option to leave is a very different thing from going on a meditation retreat, staying there for 2 years and not leaving on your own choice, right? So it's abundantly clear, right? And that difference is not in what happened. It's nothing tangible. It's that option part. Same reason why we buy insurance. We hope we don't use it, but if we need to, we can. Or somebody carries pepper spray. A person carries pepper spray to retain an option to be able to do something. Or, you know, I sometimes take a water bottle when I go out on a walk or a hike and never drink. But I'm very comforted having that. So all of these to say that it's not just material things that are things of great value to us. Now, I wanted to say a silly little example from my own personal life, and it's something that, you know, somebody did something, and not because I am I'm less frequently a perpetrator than one to whom this is done. It's just that when I am the perpetrator of doing something like this, I don't notice. That's why I do it. It's much easier when you're on the receiving end of something to notice, and nothing wrong with that, because we can learn from observing our own behavior and thoughts. We can also observe other people's and learn from that. But if we don't go into the spiral saying, oh, that person's like that, that person shouldn't be like that, you see that thing and then you can say, oh, that's what they did. You know what? I don't want to be like that. I should not be doing that. So, you know, you can learn from your experience or anybody else's experience, so long as the wish that is generated from that is for a change in your behavior, not in theirs. So, you know, this is more than a decade ago. I was in New York City, and this friend I knew casually, he was somewhere in Connecticut, and he said, you know, why don't you come out? Let's go skiing on a Saturday or something. And so I had to take the train to go there, and I had to take the stop I had to take. This is winter, right? Because it's skiing, and I had to catch the train at 6 o'clock from, you know, a station in Harlem, 125th Street, to go there. I lived quite a distance away from there, and I wasn't sure even how to get there at any time. I hadn't been there, and I had to be there at 6 o'clock to catch the 6 o'clock train. So which is going to take 50 minutes or something to get to the destination. And I was very nervous about getting there on time. Trains don't wait for people, as you know. And then I saw what the next, I looked at the schedule, and there was a train at 6:30. So I wrote to him and said, you know, I'm not sure I can make it, but if not, there's a 6:30 train and I'll still be there. And we were supposed to go out for the whole day or something. And then he said, no, that, you know, if you're late, it's a problem if we can't get there by such and such time. You know, there's a lot of driving to do after that. It's really, so I didn't want to be an impolite guest. And I really set my alarm for 4 o'clock and, you know, got it all figured out. I was there by around 5:30 or something, because I just didn't want to miss the train. And I get there, I get there at 6:50 to the station. And then the person's not there, and he rolls, you know, 20 minutes later, he shows up. And then we go to his home, from where we're supposed to. I thought we were going to drive, and now I need to do something more. He went back to his home, you know, fed his dog or something like that. And then another 45 minutes later, we leave, and no difference. It's not that, you know, but we went there, had a day, and, you know, it did leave quite an impression on me, because I could have had the option to go at 6:30, and I would have still made the 6 o'clock train, and I would have just felt fine. I would have felt much more comfortable doing that. And it's not like he didn't want that the delay was such an issue for him. He wanted to retain the option to go late if he wanted to. He didn't want me to have the option. That's all. Who's going to make the call on that, right? That's actually, I heard from a friend. I mean, that's the end of that story. That's the time that first got me thinking about options, that we hoard options all the time. And I see that again and again and again and again and again. And it's a very ungenerous thing to do. And a friend of mine from somewhere in Europe, he said that he heard that when people visit New York, they observe something in New York City, which is if you ask somebody on Monday or something, hey, I'm going to have a party on Saturday, do you want to come? People will be like, oh no, I have to see, but I don't know if I can. And then on Friday or Saturday morning, they'll say I can come. And he said it's because they can't just accept thing. They're waiting to see if something better comes along. They want to keep that option. And that makes it, it's true, you do get a benefit to choose the better option, but you actually, if you think about how difficult things now become for the person who is trying to plan the party, you wouldn't quite do that, would you? And in fact, the Buddha actually told monks that if you ever accept an invitation, you cannot accept another invitation. You don't get to choose. The first person who offers you a meal on a certain day, you accept that, and that's that. You can't, well, I'll keep this option and maybe I'll see if something better comes along. Maybe the king will invite me, or the rich person will invite me, and then I can just tell this person no. So if you choose, if you accept it, you have to go. And this idea of, in the military, they talk about it, and maybe you observe it in the doctor's office also, something called hurry up and wait. You get there in time, you have to get there, and then you wait, because they're not as keen about exactly at what time the interaction is going to happen. They just don't want you to be late for that, right? So there's just infinite times you'll see that when that happens. And so my teacher, one of my teachers in life, who's he's a monk in Myanmar, he said before he became a monk, he used to be he had a shop in a little mall type thing. He would sell things, clothes and so on. And it's a crowded place. And one of the things he would do is, people are in a hurry, he would step aside and make way, let them pass. That was his way of practicing generosity, like give them something. It's something that anybody can do. And I feel like allowing people some choices in how they do things is also something that anybody can practice, right? Not trying to have it just your way, or even keeping some choices for yourself. But, if you offer them a choice, maybe they'll choose this other thing, and that, I don't want that. I don't want to offer anybody a choice. And I'm reminded of a talk that Ajahn Brahm gave some time ago, many years ago, where he was saying that, say you call a friend and say, hey, would you like to meet up for, and the person says, yeah, I'm interested in meeting up. Then you say to them, well, I don't want to go to that cafe that you like so much. Let's go to this Thai restaurant. It's pretty good. And I don't want it to be in the afternoon. I would like it to be in the morning, because I feel more fresh in the morning. And I would like to have the window seat, window-facing seat, because it's better. And you may not say, this sounds ridiculous if you say it all in a single list, but it is not uncommon to observe people go through a series of this every few minutes, making a choice for even in this very situation, right? We'll have a sandwich. Let's order sandwiches, not burgers, and so on. And you have all these stipulations about it, how you would like it to be, and barely a thought about how they might like it to be. And then Ajahn Brahm says, and then your friend will be like, yeah, I did want to meet you, but I have a dentist appointment around that time, so I can't go. So, but instead, he says, now consider the other situation where you say, hey, I like that Thai restaurant, but forget that. Let's go to the place that you like. What's a good time? Oh, afternoon, fine. Let's do afternoon. You're busy in the morning. Okay. I know you like the taller seat or something. You can have that. Let's meet up there, and you can have that. See, there's only one of those in the restaurant. And would you like burgers? Fine, let's do burgers instead of sandwiches and whatnot. And that person will likely say, at that time I had a dentist appointment. Let me call and cancel that, and then come and join you for that. That's what's likely going to happen. And why Ajahn Brahm mentioned that is that when we do meditation and we're observing the mind, we often do that. We say to the mind, don't think those thoughts, not these thoughts. Don't get lost in this thinking. Stay alert. All of these things, and the mind doesn't like it, because the part of the mind is the one that's doing the observing, and the other part is the one that's being observed, and the mind doesn't like any of that, and it doesn't want to hang out with you. Your meditation is a miserable experience. But if you're like, oh, the mind wants to fantasize, oh, that's the fantasizing mind. Let me hang out with the mind as it's doing that. Or the mind is angry. Oh, the mind is angry. I'll be present for that, and I'll observe that, and let the mind go where it wants to go, and observe it. And he's saying this. That's very much like saying, and the mind is like, okay, I had a dentist appointment. I'll cancel that, hang out with you. Let's get to know each other more. So that's how, even with our own mind, being generous with how things, how our counterpart wants to do things, is very helpful. And some, people, like we are people, and sometimes it's even beyond being thoughtless. People are being thoughtless and not being thoughtful, and letting people have a choice in something. Sometimes it's like a deliberate power play for no good reason. Some people just want to have sometimes you'll see that behavior. You're walking, hey, why don't we let's turn right here. And you're going on a walk, and they just want to, maybe they're used to being the boss of a construction crew or something. They're just used to giving orders. Or it can be in a family or someone who's somewhat bossy. I'm saying the spectrum of behaviors around this can go from being considerate to not being considerate to deliberately doing, to deliberately keeping on exercising, making somebody else bend to your will to do that. Anyway, so I wanted to frame all of this as refraining from this as a form of generosity, and it is a form of generosity that doesn't require you to be Elon Musk or anybody to do any of this stuff. Just not be a jerk is plenty, and just that motivation is enough to be able to freely distribute that. And there are many other things that you can freely give, like the giving of fearlessness. The Buddha talks about that, which is, most of all, fearlessness from oneself. You can just say, once it becomes abundantly clear to somebody that you are not a harmful person to them, that you don't have ill intent, it's already something wonderful they've received from you. and they like being around you. It's like, it's a gift. It's such a simple thing to do, actually, which is not do anything harmful, not to do anything greedy around them, take something from them, or have the intent to take, which is identical to, but something that we can try to do, it sounds much harder, which is gaining their trust. You don't have to gain their trust if they are free from fear about you. And most of all we have to do for that is just not do much that is troubling or indulge in anything. That's something anybody can give for free, right? The giving of smiles, that's something anybody, you can take care of. The other thing is not be, take care of yourself. That's something you can give for free, kind of, instead of being like, I'm unhappy, I'm angry, like the situation is bad, somebody else has to fix it for me. That's, that's kind of a behavior we sometimes observe. And there, no, I will find my own contentment. Then nobody has to exert themselves to remove some discomfort. That's something I can give for free. Not for free. What I mean is just anybody has the capacity to be able to do these forms of giving. So I just wanted to close with a particular reading, a sutta. I just want to read an excerpt from it, not the whole sutta, which is, it's in the Majjhima Nikaya number 31. And, the Buddha has gone out to visit he heard that the Venerable Aniruddha, who's one of his disciples, and two other monks, are living someplace in quiet and in great harmony and no problem, and practicing well. So he goes to see them, and their reputation as being such harmonious folks is so great that there's they live in a grove, a grove of trees, and there's a guard of the grounds. He says, "Stop, man! You can't go there and bother them. They're wonderful monks living here." And then one of them sees it, don't stop him. That's the Buddha. So that great was their reputation as a harmonious and quiet and peaceful people. So Anuruddha, Nandiya, and Kimbila, these three people are living there, and the Buddha walks up to them and he says to Anuruddha, "I hope you're keeping well, Anuruddha and friends. I hope you're all right. And I hope you're having no trouble getting alms food. We're all right, Blessed One. We're getting by. We have no trouble getting alms food." And then he says, "I hope you're living in harmony, appreciating each other without quarreling, blending like milk and water, and regarding each other with kindly eyes." So thinking well of each other and regarding each other with kindly eyes. That's how he sets high standards for us, doesn't he? The Buddha. And indeed, sir, we live in harmony like this, he replied. And then he asked, "But how do you live this way?" And in this case, sir, I think I'm fortunate, so very fortunate, to live together with spiritual companions such as these. So that's his first formula. He thinks that thought. I am fortunate, so very fortunate to have these companions, friends, family, whoever it is, that as it applies to our situation. I consistently treat these venerables with kindness by way of body, speech, and mind, both in public and private. And I think, why don't I set aside my own ideas and just go along with these venerables' ideas? And that's what I do. Though we're different in body, sir, we're one in mind, it seems to me. And it's not some accident that they're just bring a few people together and they seem to be one in mind. They have similar thoughts and attitudes. It is by cultivating it in this way that they arrived at that situation of harmony, but by saying, why don't I set aside my own ideas and just go along with these venerables' ideas? And the venerables Nandiya and Kimbila spoke likewise, and they said, that's how we live in harmony, appreciating each other without quarreling, blending like milk and water, and regarding each other with kindly eyes. So I'll skip the rest. There's a bunch of it. I'll skip it and just come to the very end where he's at some point where he says, the Buddha then asked them, good, Anuruddha and friends, but as you live diligently like this, have you attained any superhuman distinction in knowledge and vision worthy of the noble ones and meditation at ease? He's just asking, are you making good progress in meditation, living this way? And they give a reply, of which I will just say the first line, which is, how could we not, sir? So, you live like this, in harmony, and thinking, why don't I set aside my preferences? And for a moment, why don't I go along with my companion's preferences? How could we not achieve a progress in our meditation that is worthy of the noble life we have undertaken? So that's all I wanted to quote from the sutta. And you might have heard the expression that one of the definitions of the word samsara is the urge to correct something. But in the context of what we're talking about now, I just draw an equivalent statement, the urge to have it your way. That is also samsara. It's the world is as it is, other people are as they are with their own tastes and preferences. And if we don't want the urge to have things our way, but are okay with things going some other way, that's already a large measure of freedom. I will end here, and if we have a couple minutes, or if we don't, I'll just say if it's open to anybody who might have a story or a thought about, when they, when we did not offer a choice to somebody and wished we had, that only happens if you detect it, or you had an experience of you feeling like somebody deprived something from you. Well, please do share. Yeah.